Dear students, I am Dr. Daud and today we will discuss a very important topic, non-neoplastic oral ulcers. Starting with the definition, injury to the oral mucosa may result in a localized defect of the surface in which the covering epithelium is destroyed, leaving an inflamed area of exposed connective tissue. Such defects are called oral ulcers or erosions. This may either follow molecular death of superficial epithelium or its traumatic removal. Ulceration is the most common lesion of oral mucosa and is the manifestation of many local and genetic disorders. Now, what is the difference between an erosion, excoriation, and an ulcer? An erosion is superficial breach of epithelium with little damage to the underlying lamina propria, while excoriation is the breach of epithelium that is deeper than the erosion but shallower than the ulcer. While ulcer is the break in the mucous membrane with loss of surface tissue, disintegration and necrosis of the epithelial tissue. It can penetrate into the epithelial connective tissue border with its base at a deep level in the submucosa or even within the muscle or periosteum. Now, what are the parts of an ulcer? An ulcer has an edge, a floor, a base and margin. Edge is an important finding of an ulcer which by itself not only gives clue to the diagnosis but also to the condition of ulcer. Floor is the exposed part of an ulcer. The covering of the floor is important. It can be covered by a red granulation tissue, and we call it, if it is healing and healthy, it is covered by a pale smooth granulation tissue. We can call that it is in a phase of slow healing, and if it is covered, the floor is covered by the black mass, it can be due to malignant myeloma. What is base of an ulcer? Floor is the exposed surface of an ulcer, whereas the base is on which the ulcer rests. Floor can be seen, but the base is usually felt by palpation. Now, what is margin? It is the point where the ulcer joins the normal epithelial tissue. Now, if we classify the oral ulcers, we can classify into the clinical and pathological classes. Among the clinical ulcers, these are the three types: spreading, healing and callus. In spreading type, the surrounding area is inflamed while no granulation tissue is seen in the ulcer. In the healing type, the surrounding area is not inflamed while the granulation tissue is present in the floor and slight serous discharge can also be seen. In the callus type, there are indurations, like pale granulation tissue is seen at the floor and indurations are seen at the base and edge, and this ulcer has no tendency towards healing. What are the pathological causes, pathological ulcers? The different causes of pathological ulcers include trauma, infective diseases and immunological diseases. As the list is very long, we will discuss half of the causes today and half in our later next lecture. Now, the first is the traumatic ulcer. Traumatic injury can occur by the following means: mechanical, chemical, thermal, factitious, radiation and eosinophilic ulcer. First is the mechanical ulceration. Mechanical trauma occurs through biting, sharp cusps, outstanding teeth or ill-fitting dentures or the intraoral appliances. Such ulcers do not present a problem clinically, but three criteria must be followed. One is the cause of trauma must be identified, whether it is due to a denture or whether it is due to a bite. The cause must fit the size, site and shape of the ulcer, and on removal of the cause, the ulcer must show signs of healing within 10 days. Next is chemical ulceration. There are many chemical substances which can cause damage to the oral mucosa, like hydrogen peroxide, phenol, aspirin, silver nitrate. They include irritants or causative agents used in dental practice also. The preparations used by the patient in itself medication of oral complaints such as antiseptic mouthwashes and aspirin can also cause oral ulcerations. Next are the thermal and factitious traumatic ulcers. Ulceration due to thermal trauma occurs due to very hot food or drinks. It can occur in any part of the oral mucosa but mostly seen in the palate. Factitious ulcers may be the manifestations of stress, anxiety, or emotional disturbances. Common causes are biting or chewing the lips, cheeks, or tongue, and damage to the gingiva from the sharp nail bites. Here you can see it's a factitious chronic ulceration of the mandible alveolar ridge secondary to self-induced trauma. And here it is a traumatic ulcer due to a burn, a thermal burn. Next is radiation-induced ulceration. Radiation can cause stomatitis. It also affects the salivary glands to cause xerostomia. It can also cause atrophy of the mucosa. It can also damage the vascular bed. It can also cause osteoradionecrosis of the bones. The immediate effects are erythema, radiation, mucositis, and ulceration. And edema can also occur because of the blockade of the regional lymphatics. Next is the eosinophilic ulcer. It is also referred to as traumatic granuloma or the eosinophilic granuloma of the soft tissues. It is particularly associated with trauma and injury to the muscle, although the pathogenesis is unclear. And it occurs most commonly on the tongue and presents clinically as chronic, well-demarcated ulcer which may mimic a squamous cell carcinoma. Here you can see is a traumatic ulcer due to lip biting, and it is a traumatic eosinophilic ulcer. We call it traumatic granuloma. Here traumatic ulcer on the tongue, and there is a traumatic ulcer on the cheek. And what are the immunological diseases which can cause oral ulceration? Idiopathic ulcers, Behçet syndrome, Ritter syndrome, erythema multiforme, drug reactions, contact allergies, Wegener granulomatosis, midline granuloma, chronic granulomatous diseases, and cyclic neutropenia. All these diseases can cause oral ulcerations. And what are the idiopathic ulcers? These are the group of idiopathic ulcers who are characterized by the frequent reoccurrences. And such ulcers are termed recurrent aphthous stomatitis. Based on primarily on the clinical features, there are three types of these ulcers. First is the minor aphthous ulcers, next the major aphthous ulcers, and third form are the herpetiform ulcers. What is the etiology of recurrent aphthous stomatitis? First is the hereditary predisposition, next is the trauma, emotional stress and psychological factors can also cause aphthous ulcers, and the allergic disorders, bacterial and viral infections, hematological deficiency disorders, and gastrointestinal disorders. Now if we differentiate between the clinical features of recurrent aphthous stomatitis, in minor aphthous ulcers and major aphthous ulcers, the age of onset is both 10 to 19 years of age, while the number of ulcerations in the minor aphthous ulcers are less, 1 to 5, and in major about 1 to 10. In herpetiform type, the age of onset is 20 to 29 years, while the number of ulcers are usually very large, about 10 to 100 of area. Okay. Then the principal sites of the minor aphthous ulcers are lips, cheeks, and tongue, and in the major aphthous ulcers, the ulcers are usually present at the palate and the pharynx. And in herpetiform type, the ulcers are usually present in the floor of mouth, palate, pharynx, and gingiva. The size of ulcer is usually less than 10 mm in minor aphthous ulcers. It is usually more than 10 mm in major aphthous ulcers, and in herpetiform type, ulcers are usually coalesce to form a very large area, affecting the floor of mouth, the palate, the pharynx, or the gingiva. What is the duration of ulcers? In minor aphthous ulcers is usually 7 to 14 days. In major aphthous ulcers more than 30 days, and in herpetiform ulcers about 10 to 30 days. Minor aphthous ulcers account for 80% or more of the cases of recurrent aphthous ulcerations. It is characterized by round or oval ulcers which affect the non-keratinized areas of oral mucosa, and they have grey-yellow base with erythematous margins. They heal without scarring and tend to recur in 1 to 4 months intervals, which is variable. Here you can see are the minus abscess ulcers. Here you can also see there are minus abscess ulcers. Major abscess ulcers occur anywhere in the mouth, including the keratinized oral mucosa, but the lips, soft palate, tonsillar areas, and oropharynx are common sites. They heal with scarring and tend to recur at less monthly intervals and may be associated with severe discomfort and with difficulty in eating and speaking. The extension is deeper and may present as crater-like ulcers with rolled margins which are indurated on palpation because of the underlying fibrosis. These are examples of the major abscess ulcers. Third is herpetiform ulceration. It is characterized by the multiple small pin-headed ulcers that can occur in any part of the oral mucosa. When hundreds of ulcers are clustered together and they coalesce to form a very large area of ulceration with irregular outline. They heal within 2 to 3 weeks with scarring, and ulcers tend to recur at less than monthly intervals and may be associated with severe discomfort. These are the examples of very small pinhead sizes herpetiform ulcers, and they coalesce to form a very large area of ulceration. Next is the Behçet syndrome. It is a rare disorder characterized by the recurrent abscess stomatitis. It may be seen as genital ulcers, eye lesions, skin lesions, or rapid acute inflammation of the skin in response to minor trauma. It can also cause immune-mediated mucosal damage and vasculitis associated with hyperactivity of neutrophils and are involved in the pathogenesis of the lesion. There is considerable loss of tissue with depressing ulcer well below the surface, and inflammation extends deep into the subcutaneous tissue. The surface is covered by a fibrinous exudate infiltrated by the polymorphs forming scab. A layer of granulation tissue with dilated capillaries and edema can also be seen in this disease, and some blood vessels show extensive fibrous proliferation of subendothelial connective tissue. So this is about the Behçet syndrome. Next is the Ritter syndrome. The clinical features include arthritis, urethritis, conjunctivitis or uveitis, and oral ulcers. The cause is unknown, but it is immune response to bacterial antigen which usually follows STD or Shigella dysentery. It may recur. The duration is weeks to months, and oral lesions have been described as relatively painless abscess ulcers occurring almost anywhere in the mouth. Diagnosis is dependent on the recognition of various signs and symptoms associated with the syndrome, and ESR is also elevated in acute phase of disease but persists after arthritis resolves. So we have discussed about half of the cases which can cause oral ulceration. In our next lecture we will discuss the remaining causes, and we will also discuss the signs and symptoms and how you will manage the case of oral ulceration and how you will treat such cases. Thank you.